They say the eyes are the window to the soul, but sometimes it's the camera that catches what the eyes were never meant to see. This story isn't just about betrayal, it's about survival. And if you've ever trusted someone who ended up using that trust to hurt you, stay with me till the end, because this one will speak to your heart. Beloved, welcome back to Unbroken Courage. I'm Amara, and today you're going to hear a true story that reminds us the truth may stay quiet for a while, but it never dies in silence. Before we begin, take a second, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. And as you listen, remember, courage sometimes looks like staying calm, even when your world is falling apart. Now, this story came from one of my sessions, a woman named Clara. Her voice trembled when she started speaking, but her spirit was unshaken. She said, "Amara, you ever felt like the house you sleep in has secrets?" I looked at her and nodded slowly. She said, "That's how I felt for months. I'd cook, clean, laugh, and still feel watched." Clara was married to Raymond, a handsome, charming man with a smile that fooled the world. To everyone outside, they were the perfect couple. A beautiful home, nice cars, Sunday church appearances, polite smiles. But inside that house, there was something else. She noticed it first in small things. A whisper ending when she walked into the room, her phone mysteriously resetting itself. Her jewelry box moved slightly out of place. And then one day, she overheard something she was never meant to hear. Raymond was on the phone with his mother. He didn't know Clara was in the hallway, standing just beyond the doorway, holding her breath. She heard him say, "Don't worry, Mom. I'll handle it before the month ends." Then a pause, and his mother's voice faint, sharp, and cold. "Make sure she's not around to ruin things." Clara said, "Amara, at first I thought I was imagining it. Maybe it was about business. Maybe I just misunderstood." But the next day, she went into their bedroom and found something chilling. A bottle of sleeping pills on her nightstand, the same brand she didn't remember buying. When she asked Raymond, he said, "I thought you needed rest. You've been anxious lately." But something in his tone didn't sound like concern. It sounded like control. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She said, "Amara, I lay there listening to every creak, every sound, like the house was whispering its secrets to me." And that's when the thought came to her. Quiet but powerful. If they're planning something, let the truth watch them. The next day, she went to a small tech shop, paid cash, and bought a tiny camera, no bigger than a thumb. She hid it behind the flower vase in the living room, then another one near the kitchen shelf, and a third in the corner of the hallway. She said, "I didn't know what I'd find, but I needed peace. I needed proof of what my spirit already knew." For the next 3 days, she lived like nothing was wrong. She smiled at her husband. She served his favorite meals, even joined his mother and sister for dinner that weekend. It was Sunday, the day everything changed. Raymond's mother, Mrs. Lewis, came over with his sister Veronica. They brought food, wine, and laughter that sounded too rehearsed. Clara played along, setting the table, pouring drinks, pretending not to notice the way Veronica's eyes followed her every move. But inside she was praying, "God, if I'm not safe, expose it." Dinner went smoothly until Mrs. Lewis insisted on serving the dessert herself. She said, "Clara, dear, you've done enough today. Sit, relax, let me treat you." Clara smiled politely and sat. But when Mrs. Lewis carried out the dessert bowls, something small caught her attention, her mother-in-law's trembling hand. That night, after everyone left, Clara went straight to her hidden camera. Her hands shook as she plugged in the recorder and pressed play. What she saw nearly stopped her heart. The footage showed Mrs. Lewis in the kitchen, whispering sharply to Veronica, "Make sure only her bowl gets the extra sugar. Just 1 spoon. She'll sleep through the night and never wake up." Veronica laughed. "You're sure it won't trace back to us?" And her mother replied, "Of course not. Raymond will be a grieving widower. That's how he'll get everything." Clara said, "Amara, I felt my knees give way. I had to pause the video. I couldn't breathe." The next morning, she packed a small bag and left the house quietly. No confrontation, no screams. Just silent exit, guided by divine timing. She went straight to a lawyer, the same one who had helped them buy their home. She handed over the footage, trembling, and said, "If anything happens to me, this is why." The lawyer's eyes widened as he watched the video. Then he called the police. That same evening, while Clara sat in a small safe house provided by a friend, officers raided her home. They found the poison, neatly hidden in a sugar container, just as the footage showed. And when they questioned Mrs. Lewis and Veronica, they denied everything, until the camera's footage began to play on the screen. Silence, then tears, then confessions. Clara looked at me and the truth literally saved my life. She told me Raymond's mother had planned to frame her, to make it look like she accidentally poisoned herself. They'd even planned to switch her medicine bottles to leave evidence of depression. But the camera saw what her eyes couldn't. When the case went public, people were shocked. Everyone who once praised that family started to see what was really behind their perfect smiles. Raymond's business collapsed under the scandal. His mother and sister were charged with attempted murder. And Clara walked away with her peace intact. She said, "Amara, I didn't want revenge. I just wanted truth, and truth came right on time." There's a lesson in this. When you feel something isn't right, don't doubt your discernment. God often whispers warnings in our hearts long before danger shows its face. And when truth is on your side, you don't need to shout. Just let the evidence speak. If this story has opened your eyes, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And remember, sometimes what looks like betrayal is actually protection in disguise. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story, because the next one might just save someone's life. This is Unbroken Courage, where we turn pain into power and fear into faith. Let's continue this powerful story. When the news broke, everything happened so fast it felt like a movie. Headlines spread through the city: woman saved by hidden camera footage, family arrested in murder plot. People who once admired Raymond's family now crossed the street to avoid them. The same neighbors who once came for dinner began whispering behind curtains. But for Clara, it wasn't victory she felt. It was shock. She said, "Amara, I wasn't celebrating. I was shaking. The same people who tried to kill me were the ones I used to serve tea." The police advised her not to contact Raymond, but her heart still wanted answers. She needed to hear from him. A week later, her lawyer called and said, "Clara, there's a request from Raymond's side. He wants to meet before the trial." At first she refused. Then curiosity whispered, "Go and see what truth looks like when it's cornered." The meeting was arranged in a neutral office, glass walls, cold air, no warmth. When Raymond walked in, his face was pale, the confidence gone. He looked like a man who'd seen the truth and couldn't unsee it. He sat across from her and said softly, "You really recorded us?" Clara looked him in the eye. "I didn't record you. I recorded the truth." He flinched, looking away. Then he whispered, "They told me it was only to scare you. I didn't know they meant to." He couldn't finish the sentence. Clara's voice was calm but heavy. "You didn't stop them either." That was the first time Raymond's mask cracked. He leaned forward and said, "You were going to leave me anyway." She frowned. "What are you talking about?" he said. "You didn't love me anymore. You were growing distant. My mother thought you were planning to take half of everything." Clara exhaled slowly. "So, to keep what you had, you planned to take what I was, my life." Raymond's silence was answer enough. That moment, the room froze. Even the lawyer stopped taking notes. Clara stood up. She said, "Raymond, I gave you everything, and you gave me a lesson." Then she turned and walked out, leaving him to face the mirror of his own choices. The trial came weeks later. It was public, intense, and raw. Mrs. Lewis and Veronica sat in the defendant's box, heads down, their elegant pride replaced by trembling guilt. Raymond sat behind them, expressionless. The prosecution played the footage again, this time in full view of everyone. The whispers in the courtroom grew until the judge banged his gavel. The video showed everything: the whispering, the laughter, the spoonful of poison, then the sound of Veronica's voice saying, "After this, he'll finally be free." Clara sat still, hands clasped. She said, "Amara, I didn't cry, not because I wasn't hurt, but because my tears had already built their own graves." The verdict was clear. Attempted murder. 10 years for Mrs. Lewis, 8 for Veronica. Probation for Raymond under strict watch. The judge said, "Ignorance of evil under your roof is not innocence." After the trial, Clara quietly left the courthouse, walking past the flashing cameras and reporters shouting questions. One voice asked, "Do you feel victorious, Clara?" She paused for a moment, then said, "No, I just feel safe." She went home, not to the old house, but to a small apartment with light blue walls and peace she hadn't felt in years. That night, she played the footage one last time, not to relive the pain, but to remind herself that even the darkest truth can bring the brightest freedom. Then she deleted it, every file, every copy, because she said, "Amara, I didn't want to carry the evidence anymore. I wanted to carry the lesson." Months passed. She started working again, rediscovering herself. But one evening, something unexpected happened. She received a letter in the mail, no return address, just her name in familiar handwriting. She opened it and froze. Inside was a short note. "You were right about everything. I don't expect forgiveness, but I pray you live in peace, Raymond." She smiled faintly and said, "Amara, I didn't reply, because sometimes silence is the loudest closure." By the time she finished telling me her story, my office was quiet. She looked stronger now, her eyes steady, her voice calm. She said, "The camera may have caught the truth, but what saved me was courage. The courage to believe what I saw and act before it was too late." And I thought about how many people stay silent in their own homes, ignoring the whisper of warning inside them. Sometimes, beloved, you don't need to wait for proof to protect yourself. Trust the voice of discernment. That's the real hidden camera of your spirit. So if you're watching this and something inside you feels off, listen. You might not have a recording device, but you have something better: wisdom, courage, and the still small voice of truth. If this story moved you, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And remember, the same God who revealed the trap for Clara will expose any hidden plan meant to destroy you. Stay strong, stay wise, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Unbroken Courage, where stories like this remind you that truth, no matter how long it takes, always wins. Tears passed like chapters turning in a book Clara had already finished reading. The fear that once gripped her heart had long been replaced by something deeper: peace. She'd built a new life, far from the city where her pain made headlines. Now she lived near the coast where the wind was gentle and the waves didn't ask questions. She said, "Amara, sometimes I still wake up expecting to hear those whispers in the kitchen, but all I hear now is silence, and silence feels like heaven." She worked as a school administrator, respected and admired by her community. The children loved her. They said Miss Clara's smile could calm any storm. But behind that smile lived a woman who had learned to trust her instincts more than any promise. One afternoon, she received a letter marked confidential. It was from the correctional facility. Mrs. Lewis, her former mother-in-law, had passed away, and Veronica had requested to see her before her release. Clara hesitated. Every memory she'd buried tried to surface again, but after days of thinking, she decided to go, not out of curiosity, but closure. She walked into that small gray room with calm grace. Veronica entered moments later, thinner, older, her eyes swollen with regret. For a moment, they just stared at each other, the silence heavy with everything unspoken. Then Veronica whispered, "You didn't deserve any of it." Clara didn't move. Veronica continued, "We thought we were protecting our family. I didn't know Mom would take it that far." Clara finally said, "And when you found out, you still stayed silent." Veronica nodded. "Yes, and I've paid for it every night." There was no anger in Clara's eyes, only strength. She said, "Then let your tomorrow be your apology. Live differently." Veronica broke down crying. Clara reached across the table, placed a hand gently on hers, and said, "You were blinded by hate. I was saved by truth. Let's both walk in the light now." When she told me that part of the story, Clara paused. She said, "Amara, forgiveness didn't erase what happened. It erased what it was doing to me." That line stayed with me. Because you see, forgiveness doesn't always mean trust. It means release, freeing yourself from the prison of someone else's choices. A few months later, Clara was attending a charity dinner when something unexpected happened. Across the hall, she saw a familiar figure. Gray suit, quiet demeanor, older, humbler. It was Raymond. Their eyes met. He walked over slowly, nervous, carrying a hesitant smile. "Clara," he said softly, "you look well." She nodded. "I am well," he said. I'm not here to disturb your peace. I just wanted to say you were right. I didn't see how evil can wear the face of family. I lost everything trying to keep what never mattered. Clara smiled faintly. You didn't lose everything, Raymond. You gained a truth most people never find. He lowered his head. Do you think we could ever be friends again? Clara took a deep breath, her voice steady. No, Raymond, but I wish you peace. And then she walked away, not in anger, but in strength. Sometimes walking away isn't rejection, it's revelation. Years later, Clara opened a nonprofit called the Lightroom Foundation. It helped women who faced domestic manipulation and silent abuse. She said, I named it that because darkness hides in silence, and every woman deserves to turn on the light. The same hidden camera that once captured evil now sat in a glass case on her office shelf, a reminder that truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it simply waits to be seen. When I asked her, Clara, what did you learn from all of this? She said, that God gives every woman a silent alarm. We just have to stop hitting snooze. And beloved, that's where her story ends, but the lesson continues. No matter who you are, if something doesn't feel right, don't ignore it. Trust that inner whisper. It might be the voice of your deliverance. Because in the end, the same truth that exposes evil also empowers healing. Clara didn't win because she caught them. She won because she didn't let their darkness define her light. And that, beloved, is what Unbroken Courage is all about. Real stories, real pain, real victories. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, because the truth that saved Clara might just save someone you love. Stay courageous, stay wise, and remember, when the world hides behind lies, be the camera that sees through it.